Hello, beautiful souls. First and foremost, thank you so much for jumping into this journey together that we need to take together. So my name is Amy Joint, and I am providing a 3-part series. This first part series is specifically for women late diagnosed with ADHD. And we're going to dive in and get a little bit personal here and talk about what the hell do we do now. So welcome, join me. I got my favorite mug and a little bit of coffee because I'm always drinking coffee and all the things. So you've recently been diagnosed with ADHD. First and foremost, congratulations. Congratulations for getting to know yourself better, having this opportunity, this window of opportunity to know yourself more deeply, more fully, without all that noise of self-blame, shame, guilt, and I'm not good enough. So denial. Denial is the first stage of grief. When I was diagnosed with ADHD, I remember, well, first of all, I kept moving forward, right? I kept thinking, okay, this is just one other thing that I've dealt with. I'm moving on to the next, right? So as I just kind of progressed through life, I was getting burned out. I was like, this is insane. Why is it so hard for me to stay organized? Why is it so hard for me to hear some incidental noise in the lunchroom, for instance, and just, I can't let that go, right? Why is it so hard for me? I make a mountain out of a molehill with everything in my life. And I just kept chipping away at my self-concept, and it's me, it's me, it's me. So once I received this diagnosis and I was ready to process it, that is the key piece, I realized that there was a stage of denial. And this denial to me, and I talk about in my book, Unique Minds, it is this wildfire. It just felt like smoldering over years and years and years of my life to the point where it wasn't recognizable. I don't know if you've ever driven by a community, a small town or a community that's experienced a wildfire before, but what you'll see is these beautiful houses and these churches and these government buildings. All these big buildings, libraries, community, restaurants, they're left with sometimes nothing, right? I've driven past, when I lived in Oregon, I drove past a highway there where we had a terrible fire in 2020, and I believe it was 2020, and the only thing that was left were these fireplaces. So the stone of fireplace where families sat around and they enjoyed meals together, or they had hard conversations together, and it's just left with nothing. That's how the rage, this fire felt. And I ask you, is that anything that you feel right now? Or is that something that you need to process and think about and be with and sit with for the moment, right? You've lived your whole life. You've lived your entire life struggling. And I get it. I see you. I know you struggle. And this diagnosis is not something to take lightly. For me, the denial looked like this. It can't be ADHD. I'm too successful, right? And I'm not proclaiming to be too successful here right now, but that is the inner dialogue I had. How can I have ADHD if I'm working on my doctorate degree? How can I have ADHD if I have tested kids as a school psychologist for so many years and didn't see it in myself? This can't be true. It's not ADHD. It's still something with me. Maybe I fooled them, right? Maybe I said all the right things in my checklist or my interview. So I would just continue, I continued to actually harm myself by minimizing it, by not validating that this is a diagnosis. So let's take a moment and think about, first, congratulations in receiving your diagnosis. It's okay to feel a spectrum of feelings. You're gonna feel things at the same time that don't seem congruent. You're gonna be happy and pissed. You're gonna be sad and elated. You're gonna feel shame and pride, and that is okay. That is natural. It feels like sometimes we feel like we can't have those incongruent feelings, but that's who we are. And that's what you're going to experience. So sit with your diagnosis. Take a moment to think about this fire that might be building up inside of you, whether it's a wildfire or whether now you see the ashes and you see the fireplace. Think about your life. Think about how every obstacle, everything you encountered that was difficult, everything that you overcame because you're a badass, all of it is who you are. And now there's a container. You can contain all of that, all of the incongruent feelings into a diagnosis. Now, I'm not saying you are ADHD, that's who you are, but it is a part of you. It's a part of your identity now. Take a moment, take time, take weeks, take months, take years to think about that, to feel it, to be with it. So for me, again, my story looked like moving forward. Now I was taking medication because for me in my journey, medication is part of what I need. So I was moving forward, right? One step in front of the other. And I didn't take time until I got burnt out. I got completely burnt out and I thought, well, usually I could handle this. Usually I could handle this stuff that's coming at me. And I actually remember one day I was in my living room and I was actually crouched down, like physically crouched down because I needed to kind of process some big stuff that was going on in my life. And I looked up at my husband and I said, I've done this before. I've gone through stuff like this before and I'm tired and I don't want to. So slow down, think about your diagnosis. Think about how that is now a part of who you are. Spend time in denial. Spend time with that wildfire. It could be beautiful and it truly can help plant the seeds for growth. So join me in video 2 and we're going to move past denial. And if you want more, think about pre-ordering my book, Unique Minds, which is a self-guided journal for newly women diagnosed with ADHD. Thanks for joining me.